Hey guys, I'm Carrie.
Hi everyone, I'm Casey.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we're going to be talking about something pretty fun and cool.
I think we're all guilty of doing it.
Yeah. What's that something?
People watching.
Oh, it's so much fun. Who doesn't like to
People watch.
We're talking about that today. The one fun thing about this is that Casey and I have our own version of people watching that we like to participate all the time. You know, you've got that whole typical thing where you go to a busy place and you kind of look at people and make up stories about who they might be, what they're doing, what they're talking about, and so forth. But today we're talking about a different kind of people watching, and this goes into a mediumship practice. I've been having a lot of people ask us about mediumship. Well, that's a huge, gigantic topic that obviously can't be covered in one segment. So we're going to break it down a little. Today's activity is going to be people watching. Instead of just doing regular people watching like I just was talking about, this one involves going into certain places and not just watching them, but looking for activity around them, looking for the colors and so forth. It's a good way, especially when you're just starting out as a medium, to have a fun practice. And as you continue to practice this activity, you're going to get surprisingly stronger and stronger at it too. One of the first things that it's great to do is go to a location that is an older location, a location that is not your typical mall, a place, unless it's an older mall or it has a specific feel that you've always wondered about. I'm talking about visiting like old restaurants, like here in Portland, in the Oregon area, we have McMenamins, and that's where they take places and shuffle them into new places. They're historical all the time, but then they change the whole vibe of it. And that's a really good place to go people watch. Another one is at an active old hospital. My favorite place is the VA.
Yeah, the VA's got some good people watching there.
That's one of those, every time you ask me, or let's go to the VA to pick up some stuff, I'm like, yes, let's go. So during that, we're talking about when you are going into these buildings you're going to look at vibes that people might hold. We're going to look at when you're focusing on the image of that person themselves. You can put your eyes directly on the spot of those people, but in your peripheral vision, you're looking for energies outside of them, who's around them, who you're going to probably see some entities around just about everybody, because we all have guides. If you're new to seeing, that might take a bit to have that vision, but there's other ways to pick up, like looking at their vibes, really, their auras, their energies, their demeanor.
Which says a lot.
Yeah, body language is something
Yes.
different too that might be contributors to what's going on around them. Definitely check out an old place to start with, like even an old train station. Those are pretty awesome. Before you start any process though, in any type of metaphysical, any type of spiritual or divination, it is super important to do your essential protections meditation. That meditation we have and other parts of YouTube in our channel, so go ahead and go check that out. We'll cross-link that so you guys can take a look at it. But it is important to start any mediumship exercise with that meditation, and that way you're only letting love and light in, of no lies and no deceit. That all needs to be in there. So another place, what do we do after that when we're people watching?
Well, another good one, while you're doing this is start by feeling walls, light posts.
Yes.
Whatever calls you, whatever draws your attention or has this kind of, hook catching you on a line type thing, whatever fascinates you and draws your attention, go check it out. Look at it. Feel it. Have a journal as well. You want to write these experiences down.
What you're picking up.
Yeah. Save that for later.
And looking at walls and buildings, so when you're going into a location, there's something called psychometry. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of it. Psychometry is something, go ahead and look at that word on the internet of what it is. I'll probably post a description just below where I'm talking here. But psychometry is an act of using your clair abilities, but you go and touch things and you close your eyes and you are literally feeling it metaphysically. You're feeling the energy, you're feeling the history of the area, who was there, who wasn't there. It might not be very specific at first, or because you have so much general energies going on within that busy location. So just keep mindful that you're picking up specifically on that wall or on that lamppost or whatever item it is. That form of psychometry is really fun to do while you're people watching, because it usually adds into the stories of a lot of people while they're there. You're going to keep a journal, and it's a good idea to do some people watching with somebody else, not just by yourself. If you are with just by yourself, regardless, you're going to need to bring a journal with you too. This is not the time to overthink this. It's going to be, these first types of activities are going to be a lot of rough draft series for yourself. So keep in mind that you are going about this with the mindset of there is no wrong. They're removing doubt and suspicion from your mind, unless of course it has to do with discernment and energies that you're picking up. If you're picking up negative energies whatsoever, those things need to be shut down and you move into a different area so you're not cross-contaminating yourself with energies you're not planning on. So keep that in mind. You're going to need a journal and somebody to check in with. For example, we go to this restaurant and we are always the youngest people in that restaurant. And we'll specifically go to this restaurant because we are the youngest people in the restaurant. They serve great food, but that's only part of it. It's what is really fun to do though. Casey and I don't usually have a whole lot of words when we're at restaurants and places like this, just because we're so busy people watching in the way that we're talking about. For example, when we go in, it's really fun to look at the waitresses, the host staff and whatnot, and look behind them and see what's behind them. Most often I'll see, somebody's grandmother who's walking around with them all the time, one of their guides, multiple guides, people on the other side that have passed, that are there continuously nurturing and encouraging that person while that person has no idea that anything is around them. So it's fun to watch that. But then I'll check in with Casey and like, do you see that? And get some insight. It's even gone as far as, remember that family of 3 that was sitting at that table, and the 2 older ladies sitting at the table, they were just like cackling chickens. They're just nonstop. Well, there was one husband there, and sitting next to his wife, and you could tell he purposely turned his earphones down, his hearing devices off, so he didn't have to listen to it. But around him, it was so funny because it was like a bunch of static around him, but he was also saying with his mind, these girls don't stop chattering. So we had a giggle being able to look at him and go, gosh, that type of energy is hilarious. That's some fun people watching there. When you are starting to people watch, you've already done your essential protections meditation. You've gotten into the part of where you're starting to feel items. You're going to take some time during that, especially you've felt the items and you've made notes in your journal, and now you're looking at people and you're starting to make notes about that as well. Be sure that when you do that, take some time to literally close your eyes and get centered and let your guides speak to you too. Because the whole point of doing this is, how can I be a blessing today? We're not just trying to go in and eavesdrop on everybody. It's for the greater good here too. So you want to think about, how can I be a blessing today? So when your eyes are closed and you're letting your guides come in, and you're even taking notes on what your guides might be looking like, you're taking notes on what they might be saying or how you might be feeling, you're going to focus on that and not on any type of self-doubt or anything like that. And you're just going to be open and fluid with your thoughts, and that there is no wrong. You're just learning how to rough draft your mediumship and in this type of a practice. So find a comfortable sitting place where you can watch and observe. When you're finding a certain place, say for example that you're at a mall or some devastating to me things like that. I swear, going to a mall to me, or any type of really busy public place, I would rather have my toe cut off without any type of pain medicines whatsoever than sit in or walk through a busy place, especially with all those energies. I just don't need that in my life. unless I'm people watching. But even still, because of how much I soak up everything and how much we soak up everything, I'm like, don't talk to me. Well, my energy's cleared. But get into somewhere that is comfortable, where you're not trying to come off like a creep or stalker or anything like that, but somewhere in the corner where you're not necessarily in the middle of everything while you're taking these notes and journaling about what you're seeing. I know, can you imagine? You're just over there.
Don't mind me.
So I just might be taking notes. I'm not a creeper. I'm just learning how to people watch. But it is actually important to do that. People watching is like everything, and it's such an awesome way to start mediumship practices. Try to pick one person or one topic at a time. If you're going in with the intention of, I want to know what the history of this building is like, go with that intention, just one thing. Don't try to pick up every single energy in the room. Don't try to do that. You're just focusing on the history of places. So everything around that day, that people watching session for you, needs to be based only on the history of that place. It's really important to just focus on one thing. If you're planning on focusing on people, that is wonderful, but you're going to do it from a perspective of sitting on the outside as a total objective, love and light being, and just watching their surroundings. You're not trying to pick up every single person in that area. If you do that, that's just so overwhelming, and then you just start not getting correct information because it's too much information going on at the same time. So pick one topic at a time, and when you switch topics into another one, make sure that you're restarting that essential protections meditations. Be sure that you're kind of rebooting in between people, otherwise you're going to end up pretty tired.
Yeah.
Emotionally and physically. We don't want that either. When you are observing too, and your mind has gone, you're in a kind of a meditation state of where you're asking your guides, what is it that they would like you to see? That's a great place to find out what topic you want to know about that day, and how can you be a blessing that day. Close your eyes, and you're going to actually start listening to your guides. Listen always to your highest self, your guides, creator first. That is always an essential thing because of the part of discernment. And this is supposed to be a blessing not only for you, but for other people. So listen to your guides. What are they telling you that they want you to see that day? Really be transparent with yourself and transparent with your guides, but making sure that you have your protections and boundaries down. You're going to ask them, show me what it is that you want me to see today. Show me the guides that are around other people today. Show me the history of what it is that you want me to know today, and really be centered within that. The other part too is that when you are people watching, it's really important that you are closing out in between topics. Like I said earlier on that, you just really want to make sure that you are not overly taking on too many energies all at once. So be very diligent on that practice, is to close out. If you were moving, or if you were originally working with the history of the location, and then you start wanting to get into more of the people watching aspect, be sure that you close the session out of the history of the building before you start going into the other part of specifically watching people. That way, like I just said, that way you're not infiltrated with all sorts of material. It just always ends up turning out a little bit wrong. It's not very specific, and you tend to go down rabbit holes you're not intending to do. So listening while you're doing that, that's super important. Another thing is looking at not just people, but all living things. Try to make this a part of your daily practice too, as you're building up mediumships. You need to be able, in order to see loved ones on the other side, you need to literally be able to see. And understand that not everybody's clair abilities are going to be the same. They're not. And as you are learning too, don't put such expectations on yourself that you're supposed to be this heavy guru, know-it-all, and all your, super zen clair master. That's not how that works. Your journey is super important, and it's important for you not to rush your journey as well, because you're supposed to be able to take on every bit of information instead of all of the information from absolutely everywhere. Every single little phase that you're working on will actually be a bigger phase than you realize when you let those things take hold and keep practicing over and over again. So that's really important to look at all living things, not just people. People watch as in plant watching too. You're going to look at the energies around the plants. You're going to look at energies, especially fun people watching actually includes dogs too, and that are walking around in public. That is such a fun thing to do too, because those animals have guides too, and so they are going to have guides around them that you'll be able to see their energies and whatnot too. It's such a neat opportunity, in knowing that in that realm that animals don't communicate. Obviously, they don't communicate the same way as humans do, but the flashes of the type of telepathy that animals are able to do, and the way that their mindset works, it's just so different from humans. And so it's neat to even people watch looking at animals like dogs as well that are with their humans, just to pick up that extra energy. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys do with that, and I hope you guys will leave comments below of your experiences with people watching, including doing that with other plants too. Remember when we first got together, we were talking about energy within plants and trees and whatnot. Both of us were, and the difference of light that those plants put out, that type of energy, how different as far as leaves and their energy fields that it looks in, versus looking at lamps or other types of light sources. You'll see that their frequencies are so very different, and it's neat to honor the plants like that, because they just project such a deep energy, which in turn it really projects that kind of an energy on humans as well, and humans do the same thing to the plants. So while people watching, you're going to include plants, because it's actually part of people watching as well. So keep all that. I hope that helps a bit. People watching is something that you should take personally and do as frequently as you can. It doesn't take much to do it. Just, having yourself and a journal or somebody else there with you to check in. But both people, while you're doing that, you're going to set the same action course, being sure to look at all the energies and the feels, the smells, all of the clair senses that those experiences bring to you. But also check in with the person that you're with. What do they see? Their vision is going to be different than yours. The way that your abilities work are different than mine, and it's super cool like that too, because I might be looking at one thing one way, but because Casey's a different person and sees it in his own way, it's so beautiful to hear those differences too. It doesn't mean that one is right and one is wrong. It just means that we see things differently, and that's super cool to do. And again, be sure that when you are people watching, that even after you are done with that session, that you need to close out that session altogether.
Yes.
And that's, again, by doing your essential protections meditation. That meditation needs to be done if you're a medium or have any clear abilities whatsoever. You need to be doing that meditation several times a day, just because that way you can kind of reset yourself throughout the day. Otherwise, you're going to be a nightmare by the end of the day. It's just too much to take on everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're going to close out the session not only by doing the essential protections meditation, but you're also going to tell your guides, hey, I'm done with this session. I need you to help close out anything that was here. Everything that I experienced today stays where I am. It's not allowed to follow me. It's not allowed to move anywhere else. It's just strictly, this whole purpose was for the part of adding on to my mediumship abilities of people watching.
Yeah, you don't want to have an accidental indentation.
No.
Or accidentally bring something home with you.
Right. That is the worst. You don't want that. You don't deserve that. We're doing this for fun and for developing your abilities.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed this segment. If you like what we do, please subscribe below and click the bell. Don't mind if you leave some comments, because we love you guys and love to interact.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Love and light.
Love and light.